Hello everyone, and welcome to Sisters Insanity. I pray that I do not have any talk calls, as I have talk up right now, and the Rancher Craft server is down right now for a server switch over. That's bound to take 4 to 8 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and take this time to read to you guys the continuation of Sharn's Escape, which I put out last June. I'm not sure if it was this year. I think it was this year, June of this year. And it was kind of like an ASMR video, but I can't always whisper for too long, so if I'm still too loud for you, you may have to turn me down. Okay, so let's continue and hopefully finish Sharn's Escape. This is kind of like a novel I've wrote for those of you who haven't watched part 1, but you may want to do that before you start this one. So if you haven't, pause the video right here. I'll wait for you, and unpause it when you're done with the first chapter. Okay, welcome back. Chapter 8. What? By who? Cried Lady Valkyrie. By the ringleader of the Shadows, Conti Cristo, replied Tarvin. The Shadow Clan? Asked Lady Valkyrie, continuing. Why would they attack us? They're nowhere near our land. They're also attacking Cal's land, Cal's carnival as well. I would make haste back home if I were you. I will come with to help, Tarvin explained. With the snow that fell last night, our ride got turned into a snow mountain. Even if it wasn't buried, it would take us 4 or 5 hours to drive back, cried Lady Valkyrie. Leave it to me, said Taisho. Sharn's body had turned into someone they both didn't recognize. He had transformed back into Taisho. Taisho had a medium-length, black, spiky hair. The closest I can come up with to a picture would be Kirito from SAO. He was dressed in all black and had a sword sheath to his back. It's funny how much Taisho and Kirito actually have in common, and I made Taisho way before ever seeing Sword Art Online, which is true. Okay. Taisho Urameshi went to the window and opened it. He stepped out onto a small balcony surrounding the tower. The other two followed him in amazement. While they were still watching him, he climbed over the protective fence and jumped off. Tarvin and Lady Valkyrie ran to the balcony and looked down in horror, expecting the worst. But when Taisho jumped over the edge, he fell for a moment, feeling the wind through his hair. He could hear the ringleader and Lady Valkyrie screaming his name as he plummeted closer to the ground. Just before he hit the top of the snowy tree line, he transformed into a large large black dragon that had a saddle on its back fit for riding. He glided over the snow-covered trees. He was back. He missed flying so much. He flew back up to the two of them. Let's go. Get on, he said telepathically to them. After some thought, they both scaled the fence and jumped down onto Taisho's back. Hang on, he said, and he dropped headfirst down the tower wall, wings spread out in a rapid descent, just like before. When they thought that he would hit the treetops, Taisho pulled up, soaring over the trees and down the mountain. You could see the carnival rides, the entrance, and easily from way up here. I think I messed up. Hang on. You could see the carnival rides and entrance easily from way up here. They leveled out again when they reached the bottom of the mountain pass and soared over the carnival grounds. Ringleader Tarvin howled to his pack to stay alert of any intruders, and if they would be leaving for a bit. They flew back out the entrance and back into the forest the way they came. This is amazing, cried Lady Valkyrie. Tarvin just howled in the cold night air. Doubling back the way they came, Taisho saw the big mound of snow where the van sat idle. He swooped down and carefully maneuvered, and with careful maneuvering, sorry, I haven't read this in almost 6 months. He picked the van up in his clawed feet, swooping it out of the snow and gaining altitude. By the time they had cleared the tree line, the van had all of its snow falling off of it. It had only took them 30 minutes to get back to Cherry World's own Carnival via flight. Taisho gently landed the van where they had borrowed it. By the time Calfordius Coron came out to see what the commotion was about, they had drawn a crowd. "Cal!" screamed Lady Valkyrie. "Jump on!" She continued, with more determination to save his cousin's mansion and reputation. He reluctantly made his way through the crowd, all the way staring up in fear of this black dragon. When he finally climbed aboard, he heard a voice in his head. "Hello, I am Taisho Urameshi, King of Baronovia, the great black dragon. Hang on, we're taking off," he said. Cal gave a shout of fear as the great black dragon took to the skies. "Is your carnival okay, dear cousin?" asked Lady Valkyrie. Yes, we managed to scare off the intruders, and those who didn't flee, we defeated. The main clan is at the mansion," explained Cal. They flew over the Cherry Woods markets, and Taisho was remembering all the stuff that had happened from the alley he woke up in. Lady Valkyrie pointed Taisho to the mansion, since he didn't really know where to go since he was teleported last time. When they arrived at the manor, they were expecting to see a horde of Shadow Clan, but it was only 5 people from the Shadow Clan. "Be careful, there are probably more hiding in the trees surrounding the mansion," said Lady Valkyrie. Sebastian, the butler, was standing on the grassy front lawn, which was littered here and there with dead Shadow Clan bodies. They heard him scream at the clan, I will never let you take over this residence," as they landed. "Sebastian, are you okay?" asked Lady Valkyrie, as she jumped from the dragon, landing amongst scattered corpses. "Yes, my lady," he replied. "Your family is safe inside," Sebastian explained. As soon as Tarvin and Calforius had gotten down, Taisho morphed from a giant black dragon back to his original human form, as Taisho. "Who is the dragon man?" asked Sebastian. "This is Taisho Urameshi, King of Baronovia," replied Lady Valkyrie. He had his hands face up a little ways out from his side. "Let me help you," said Taisho, as his hands glowed red with a ball of fire in each hand. The next squad of 5 clan members joined the other 5 in the field. They ran from the bushes at them with the new arrival of the lady. "I'm going inside to make sure everyone is okay. I trust you can take it from here, Sharn. I mean, Lord Taisho," Lady Valkyrie said, with the nod of his head and the towering flames in his hands, rising fast above his head, making the dark night a little more lighter. She went into the mansion with Calforius strolling behind her and shut the front door. Chapter 9. Sebastian drew 6 fancy butter knives from his clothes faster than any butler or magician Taisho had ever seen. He stood there looking like Wolverine with knives in between his fingers and his arms forming a cross. With a little sigh, he said, "Tea time is definitely going to be late tonight." 2 more squads emerged from the main gate entrance of the estate, closer to Taisho. The Shadow Clan now surrounded Sebastian, Taisho, and Tarvin in a half-circle. The 3 were protecting the front door. A howl rang out from the right of Taisho, as ringleader Tarvin transformed from a tall and upright to a giant black wolf. "Oh!" So tall, his head came up to Taisho's shoulder. Tarvin growled furiously, showing his shiny white teeth in the light of Taisho's fire. As the squaws ran at them, Sebastian extended his arms out to the sides of his body, sending the knives that sparkled in the firelight as well flying through the air. His aim was true, and all 6 butter knives hit the targets in the head, dropping them like flies. Taisho flinched a bit, as he didn't expect a mere butter knife to be able to kill so efficiently. Taisho drew back one arm and released one fireball into the crowd of Shadow Clan members, igniting 5 of them, sending them running into a nearby fountain. "Try not to burn the place down," said Sebastian. Taisho brought his other hand back and said, "My flames only burn what I tell them to," as he released it into another crowd of Shadow Clan members. Ringleader Tarvin and Neil charged into the fray with all teeth and claws, bearing down on the enemy. By the time the 3 of them had gotten a chance to attack, most of the army was either killed or retreating with serious injuries. That didn't stop the horde of Shadow Clan members, as they foolishly kept trying to rush in from all around them. Sebastian, who was still flinging butter knives, and Taisho with his fire, had yet to have anyone get close to them. Ringleader Tarvin Neil was having a time in the horde, mangling their bodies and leaving body parts everywhere and blood staining the front lawn. The fight was going fine until a giant ball of pitch-black fire emerged from the tree line, almost hard to see in the darkness of night. Taisho only saw it a second before it hit him square in the chest. The force of the blast knocked Taisho back, slamming him into the mansion wall so hard the bricks crumbled some on impact, leaving a silhouette of his body as he fell back onto the cold grass. Bleeding and finding it hard to breathe, Taisho struggled to stand back up as he heard a voice amongst the trees say, "He's mine. Leave the Lord of Dragons to me." Horde upon hordes of Shadow Clan streamed out, threatening to overtake the mansion. "Taisho, are you okay?" asked Ringleader Tarvin Neil as he returned to Taisho's side. "Yes, but can you and Sebastian hold off the hordes?" he said as he gripped his sword on the back firmly by the handle, as if he were going to draw it. The whole time he said this, he looked intently towards the forest where he heard the voice. His hand slipped from the blade as he saw a tall, lengthy, dark green-haired man in a light green attire float out from the tree line, as if suspended by an invisible cloud. He had a katana on his shoulder and a wicked grin on his face. He looked like Taisho's mortal enemy back on Baronovia, which made Taisho's spine run a tingle down it. I even found a gif of a Maimon from Aono Exorcist, which is originally who I pictured for the enemy in the main books that I have never written yet. So that's just a heads up. And it even says, "You're in the way," which is kind of funny because, yeah, appropriate. Anyway, back to the story. Taisho clapped his hands together in a praying position, and then kneeled on the ground, putting his palms face down in the grass. For those of you who don't know, that's a Full Metal Alchemist reference. In mere milliseconds, the same red circle that Ringleader Tarvin Neil saw above his castle was spread on the ground. From its center, Taisho's hand grabbed something in the air just above the grass. Slowly bringing his hand up from the ground showed he had produced a long claymore from the earth. As the tip of the long claymore left the earth, the alchemy circle vanished. An upper window of the mansion had opened, and out jumped Lady Valkyrie and Ringleader Calphorius Curon. "How dare you enter our domain, Conte Cristo!" screamed Lady Valkyrie. That just caused Conte to grin a bigger evil grin. The gang's all here now. Let's start the show, Conte Cristo replied. Obviously, I am ringleader Conte Cristo. I am here for the head of Lady Valkyrie. It will be my crowning prize, and your land will be mine, he explained. And while I'm at it, I will kill Lord Taisho Yoramashi and rule over Baronovia, and there is nothing you can do about it, he said. With that, Taisho took off at breakneck speeds towards Conti. Could this Conte Cristo be the same one that has always tried to kill me in Baronovia? Because he sure looks like it, thought Taisho as he jumped in the air a bit in front of Conti. Now above the evil ringleader, Taisho raised his claymore high in the air, letting the gravity of his fall increase his sword's damage. He slammed into Conti, landing on the ground with the claymore piercing the lawn just under where he was hovering, at the edge of the tree line. Startled, Taisho looked up. How did he dodge that? Ringleader Conte Cristo had dodged the blow at the last possible second. Looking around, he saw Conte running off into the forest, away from the manor. Looking back to the battle, he could see from his position in the rear of the horde, Sebastian, Ringleader Tarvan Ignigel, and Lady Valkyrie battling the hordes of the Shadow Clan ninjas. And obviously, Calfarius Kuran, which I guess I forgot to put in there. I need a drink. Much better. With that, he took off after Ringleader Conte Cristo. He sped up his pace, now in the trees, trying to get a better view of the ever-disappearing Conte. From the branch to branch he jumped, not missing a step and staying above ground. He finally stopped just above the trees, short of a clearing. Conte Cristo was just standing in the middle of the clearing, with his back turned to Taisho. It looked as if he was using magic to summon something. Just what were they needing? More minions? Thought Taisho. I can't let him summon anything, he said to himself quietly. As he charged from the tree line with the graze of a gazelle, he landed in the grass, and using super speed, he ran at the leader of the Shadow Clan carnival. He raised his claymore high above his head, just short of reaching him. Once in range, he was about to bring his claymore down and cleave him in half, when he felt a very sharp pain in his back. As he looked down in horror, he saw a katana was sticking out of his stomach. His blood ran down the knife and onto the long grass of the clearing. He winced in pain and turned his head back to look who it was, and he noticed a squad of 3 Shadow Clan members had snuck up behind him from the tree line. Conte unexpectedly turned around as the katana got returned to its owner. In his hands, raw magical energy surged in a massive ball. He took 2 steps till it took to be in melee range of Taisho. Checkmate, whispered Conte in Taisho's ear, and unleashed a massive fireball spell he had been charging into Taisho's chest, where blood was already pouring out. Taisho had just enough time to gasp in horror as the riptide of flames charged on a ley line slammed into him with the force of 10 semi-trucks. The flames consumed him for a moment as he screamed out in pain. The force of the fireball spell sent him flying backwards over the heads of the squad that backstabbed him and across the clearing, slamming him into a huge sequoia tree. The force of the explosion had propelled his body high into the middle of the tree, leaving an imprint of his body in the trunk. With shards of wood piercing Taisho's back in various places from the impact, he started to fall back down, hitting a few tree branches and knocking the wind out of him. Taisho landed on his stomach, with pain riddling his body and blood flowing from his wounds. With his face in the grass and arms outstretched in front of him, He gripped the blades of grass with his right hand. His vision got blurry as he fought to pull his ever-hovering body from the ground. He collapsed under his weight and fatigue. The last thing he saw was ringleader Conte Cristo walking past him, back towards the fight at the manor. Conte smirked and said, "One down. The next one will be Queen Valkyrie herself." Laughing his way out of Taisho's sight as he lost his grip on the grassy patch he had been grabbing at, and with his last breath he could feel the blood pooling around his body. His very life force purged from him once more. I can't read, Jesus, sorry. Chapter 10. Amidst the horde of the Shadow Clan members, the four of them stood: Sebastian the butler, Lady Valkyrie, Queen of Cherry Woods, ringleader Tarvin McNeil, and the now present ringleader Calphurius Curon. Tarvin was still in his wolf form, tearing his fangs into flesh of the intruders and rending his victims. Sebastian carried on, throwing his butter knives at them with precision and speed, and Lady Valkyrie had two huge swords drawn, hacking and slashing her way through the horde as even more poured out of the forest. The bodies were starting to pile up. "When will you ever learn to give up?" she said, clearly not taking a touch of damage. She saw Tarvin biting the intruders and wondered for a moment if she would suck some of them dry, but thought against getting too close to them, as their numbers were getting too big to count. Calphurius had a group he had decided needed soaked in regalio, a substance that will make anyone stunned that gets hit with it cause some confusion and more willing to cooperate. Basically, a way to use mind control over them. They use this in some of the carnivals to gain back control on angry mob of prisoners. The Cherry Woods Carnival had the highest supply of regalio in the world, as its main ingredients was found in the pits of cherries that grew all over Cherry Woods. Calphurius took off his purple top hat and aimed it at the group of Shadow Clan members who were advancing on him. He tapped the hat with the pointer finger and said, "Come forth, regalio!" A huge plume of dark red liquid sloshed out of the hat, covering several advancing squads in this thick substance. They stopped advancing as others around them continued to surge forward. "Now, my minions, attack the Shadow Clan members!" screamed Cal, as the 30 or so newly turned Shadow Clan members raced forwards ahead of the pack, forming a semicircle of soldiers in between the horde and the mansion. Tarvin and Lady Valkyrie, still on the horde side of the battlefield, kept hard at work trading blows with the horde, noticed the new formation, and jumped in the air over the wall of the newly turned clan members to join the other two to catch their breath some. "Nice work," said Lady Valkyrie to Cal. The new squad attacked any attackers with no hesitation that they were on the same side, while the opposite side was reversed in attacking their own. Or was reserved in attacking their own. With a rustle of leaves, Conte Cristo emerged once more from the forest, surveying the battle. He scoffed. "How dare you cheat and use regalio?" "Where is Taisho?" screamed Lady Valkyrie. "Taisho is dead. He is no hope to you now," he said, callously continuing, "Death to the Kurans!" As he charged into the fray. "Move out of my way, you hooligans," said Conte, charging through the now standing still crowd. The Shadow Clan members had stopped the assault of fear of attacking one of their own. Moving aside to form a path, Conti had now moved forward with ease. He grabbed his sword, held it over his head, and said, "Death to the Korans!" He slammed the sword into the ground that was glowing orange with flames. The flame energy flew from the sword and along the ground in a straight line, burning anyone that got too close to it into a crisp, including Conti's own clan members. The fire burned all the way down the line, hitting the two recently turned clan members in the semicircle, turning their bodies instantly to ash. It surged past them and threatened to hit Lady Valkyrie and Sebastian. Lady Valkyrie, still stunned, and cried, "No!" at the thought of him dead. I'm sorry, what the heck? Oh. It surged past them and threatened to hit Lady Valkyrie and Sebastian. Lady Valkyrie, still stunned and crying, "No!" at the thought of him dead. At the thought of Taisho dead. Sorry, I was really confused. She had failed him. She had failed to return him home. If this pompous ass had not... Her thoughts got cut off as Sebastian pushed her and himself out of the way, just as I thought it would hit the huge mansion. Calphorius stepped into the line of fire with his hat out in front of him and shouted, "Tomb of water!" A geyser of water jetted from the hat, causing a huge plume of a smokescreen rising into the air, as both the jet of water and the fire energy collided, canceling out the advance of both. As a huge, massive, mushroom-shaped cloud of vapor rose into the sky, Conti advanced at a full charge, knowing that it would be only a matter of time before that cloud dispersed, and a dense fog would roll over the battlefield. He had no time to waste. He needed to take out Lady Valkyrie before this happened, or he may lose sight of her. He'd only got halfway down the newly charred line of grass in the front lawn, when the whole ground shook, nearly causing him to fall over in the process of stopping the advance. "Corvus quake?" asked Lady Valkyrie to Sebastian. "No, that's not it. I smell fire," said Tarvin Neal with his wolf nose. Sebastian gave him a coy look as if to say, "Are you sure you are not smelling the fire from the recent attack?" He didn't have time to ask this, as Tarvin pointed to the direction Conte Cristo had just come from. The shaking stopped, and they all gasped in horror as they could first see the formation of a massive fire raging in the forest that wasn't there a minute ago. They could see its flames in between at least 20 trees and growing bigger. "The forest!" shouted Lady Valkyrie. "We need to put it out," she said, gasping as she was unable to finish her sentence. This forest fire was not like any typical forest fire. Its flames from the middle of the fire now shot into the air, skyrocketing higher and higher. They rose into the sky, even higher than the plume of smoke, which at the moment released its foggy creation onto the crowd below. Before the fog completely fell, Lady Valkyrie could have sworn she saw a phoenix rising with the ever-soaring tower of fire. Darkness fell as a thick fog descended upon them. Ringleader Calphorius Curon, Ringleader Tarvin Neal, and Lady Valkyrie and Sebastian quickly formed back-to-back circle to protect each other. It was so hazy that even Tarvin, with his night vision in wolf form, could see but a paw in front of him. Lady Valkyrie could see a bit further with vampirism and managed to see what was coming. They didn't have much time to wait or wonder how they would make it out of there alive, as she saw Ringleader Conte Cristo running at them at full speed. Lady Valkyrie could not see that far in front of her, so she knew he was close, too close to warn the others. She raised her swords in an X shape in the final attempt to protect her friends, her family, and her home, when a giant swirling fire tornado landed just in front of Conte Cristo, halting his assault and gaping in horror at the monstrous tornado. At the moment the fiery EF3 tornado stopped, turning. In an instant, all the fire of the tornado unraveled, spraying the entire battlefield in fire. Lady Valkyrie flinched as she feared the worst. She noticed, however, that none of the fire had touched them. In fact, the fire itself wasn't burning anything. The explosion of fire in all directions and released a magical energy inside it had dispersed the fog. Ooh, excuse me, I am drinking LaCroix. Returning visibility back to normal. Seemed the only one to have moved besides the floor was Conti, who was now out of view because someone was now standing where the tornado had been. With his hands on his katana, he said, "You shall never hurt this residence or its people ever again." Lady Valkyrie recognized the voice. "That hair! That... Taisho!" she screamed, running towards him. Without looking back, he used his left hand to signal her to stop. "Wait," he replied. Lady Valkyrie was close enough to see Conti now, as she stepped off to the side. On his face, he was showing complete shock and confusion. His poor, twisted mind racked with only one thing. How the fuck was he alive? Conti was stammering and muttering to himself incoherently. Taisho took this time to address the horde. "Leave now, or I shall show you no mercy for what you have put my friends through." With that, he drew his specially engraved sword from his back. Once it was even just a little of a ways drawn, his eyes turned red, and red flames emerged as two balls of fire on his head, and a tail with a ball of fire on it too had emerged. Yes, this is like Rin Okumura from Ao no Exorcist, because it's my favorite anime. Of course, I had to use it as a reference. Then the whole sword was drawn, and his body was glowing red with fire, as an energy seemingly attached to the sword engulfed him in flames. This caused the entire Shadow Clan carnival horde to turn tail and run away. Cal even released his Regalio-turned members and watched them flee alongside their friends. All that was left was ringleader Conte Curon, now kneeling in the grass. I think his name is Conte Cristo, but it freaking, wow, spell check changed his last name from Cristo to Curon. What the heck? That's messed up. All that was left was ringleader Conte Cristo, now kneeling in the grass, holding his head in his hands, not knowing what to think of the return of the Lord of Dragons, Taisho Kai Urameshi, King of Baronovia, and the loss of his battle. He looked up at Taisho with nothing but hopelessness and uncaring of his future in his eyes. Taisho saw this and unsheathed his sword. "Just kill me," squeaked out Conte in his sad little, now defeated voice. Taisho pointed his index finger at Conte Cristo with his arm outstretched at Conte's head, his hand resembling a gun. Conte just stayed there, shaking, his brain still broken from attempting to figure out how Taisho had survived, when Taisho scoffed and put it back his arm. He drew an invisible line from the top left above Conte to another invisible spot at the bottom right side of Conte and said, "Metz." This, for anyone who knows, is a Yeah, what's it called? Kakashi reference? This formed a magical see-through blue force field box around Kanti, trapping him inside. One moment, I have a better idea, Taisho said with a grin, returning to the huddle of his friends. They put their heads together, whispering just outside of Kanti's range of hearing. They broke up the huddle moments later, and all 5 of them strode over to him with mild grins of satisfaction on their faces. Ringleader Calphurius Kuran kneeled down and spoke to him at eye level, making sure to engage him. You will suffer a fate worse than death, but when you wish you had died here at our new home in the Carnival of Cherry Woods, or at your new home in the Carnival of Cherry Woods, you won't. I will keep you alive as long as your sad body will hold out. I'm going to work you to the bone, boy. You will pay for all the injustice you've caused my family and Carnival tonight. You remember that from now on, you belong to me. He produced a Carnival ID. You can do that, exclaimed Kanti. I am Ringleader Kanti Christo, master of the Shadow Clan Carnival. You cannot simply own another ringleader, Kanti said, sobbing. Watch me, said Ringleader Calphurius, glanced at Taisho and nodded. Taisho dropped the barrier. With a Taiketsu, he said. Metz makes the barrier. Ketz implodes the barrier in on itself, causing anything inside to turn to a powder. And Taiketsu summons his magical monk staff and would suck all the barrier and powder particles inside the portal of the staff. Inside the portal the staff creates when that word is uttered, to make sure that whatever is in there can't respawn. When you do Taiketsu without saying Ketsu first, it just releases the subject. Ringleader Calphurius Kuran grabs Kante before he could plan to escape and forces the Carnival ID on him. No! Screams Kante. He passes out as the only thing keeping him awake after the energy he used in battle was the little bit he had left to stay conscious was slipping away from him as the Carnival ID blocked his powers immediately. I will take care of him as long as he is in my custody. The other Shadow Clan members cannot attack in fear of us torturing him anymore. Then we will already... Sorry, Spellcheck has done a number on this. Shadow Clan members cannot attack in fear of us torturing him any more than we already will. I plan on giving him the dirtiest and hardest of work when I get back, and when he awakes, Kel explains. Can you give me a lift back to the carnival in Cherrywood? He asked Tarvin. Yeah, sure, jump on, Tarvin said. Kel jumped on Tarvin's back, and with Kanti slung over the huge wolf like a sack of potatoes. Before they left, Tarvin came up to Taisho. Will Sharn ever come back? Will he remember me again? Asked Tarvin. I'm sure he will. Thank you for all of your help, Taisho said, petting the massive wolf. Thank you as well, Tarvin said, as he was about to take off. Lady Valkyrie had walked back to Sebastian to make sure he was okay. Of course, he did not have a scratch on him. As she turned around to see the two ringleaders talking with Taisho, she said to him, producing two items from mid-air. She saw him produce two items from mid-air and handed it to them. Cal hung on to Tarvin's for him as he was in wolf form. They looked round and goldish, with what she thought she saw was feet. She didn't have the best of views, but could see it was something that needed two hands. Cal put them in his hat and said thank you. He rode off on Tarvin towards the Shuri Woods Carnival. Taisho then turned to Lady Valkyrie. Well, it's time for me to go home. But first, Taisho said, pausing. He had his 2 fingers in the air again, the same ones he made to frighten Kante with, except this time his thumb was not extended, and it didn't look like a gun. She remembered he did this once before, when he turned into a black dragon at Carnival of Wolves. He was accessing his menus of bodies or weapons. He produced one gold-ringed device with what, yes, looked like 4 feet to make it stand up. They looked like lionish feet of her fancy bathtub she had. Here, this is a portal device. It will link wherever you set it up with Baronovia, he explained. You can visit us whenever you want, or use it to call for help. He handed it to her. It was heavier than she thought. However can I thank you? How can I ever thank you enough for saving my family and friends? Asked Lady Valkyrie. Taisho chuckled. You already have, by saving me to begin with. Consider us even, he said, shaking her hand. I should be the one thanking you for all your hard work with helping me, he explained. They exchanged a mixed emotional glance at each other. I must be going now, he said, raising his 2 menu fingers into the air. This time they did not open a portal, but he backed up and dragged his hand down as far as they could reach without bending over. This time, I think it was supposed to be this time, they didn't open the menu. He backed up and dragged his hand down as far as it could without bending over. A purplish oval portal with a gold border opened. Before he would step through, the mansion door opened, and out piled the Curran siblings and the staff of the mansion. They waved to him and said their thank yous to him. He smiled and waved goodbye to them. They turned back to Sebastian and Lady Valkyrie. Stay safe, my friends. If you're ever in need of help, please use the portal, he said, as he stepped through the portal once through the portal, closed as quickly as it had formed. Taisho found himself at Grand Central Portal Station in the heart of Baranovia's capital city, and his home. A place Taisho set up after constantly being sent to different dimensions. He walked through the streets at a fast pace, longing to see his family once more. All of the villagers of the massive town, surrounded by high castle walls and heavy stone door that took 2 guards to pull open, knew him well. He always helped the followers of the Urameshis well. He protected them, and in return they lived in peace. He approached the large castle in the middle of town, his home. It had a huge landing pad that led inside of the castle and straight into the throne room, big enough for the giant dragon to land. He mainly used the front door instead, walking past the training dummies his sons and daughter used to practice. He chuckled at the fond memories and wondered how much he missed. He just cleared the last flight of stairs to the door when his 2 sons, daughter, and now 1 grandson glomped him in a loving embrace. For Taisho, this story may be over, but there is always another story right around the corner. Thank you for reading or listening to this daydream to novel story. Again, this was written just for fun. Signed, Taisho Kai Urameshi, aka Maggie. Alright, and that is the end of the story. I hope that you guys have enjoyed it. This was Sharn's Escape. It was a novel that I had come up with as a daydream. It was never meant to be a novel, but I thought I would share it with everybody. Mainly I wrote it for Connor, so it is dedicated to Connor, because he was the one that told me that I should write it all down. This is just one of thousands of stories that I've come up with in my head since I was 13 years old or younger, and I'm now 33. So there are several 100 million daydreamings that I have done that help me get to sleep at night. And usually, yes, they all are war-based and fighting-based. So, yep. Thank you guys for listening. God, I don't even know how long this has lasted. Nearly an hour. Alright guys, thank you for listening. I'm surprised talk has not gone off since the server has been down this whole time. Amazing. So I better go before it starts ringing and waking you all up. I know this wasn't really an ASMR video, but for some people it could be ASMR-y. So, try to get some sleep, everybody. Thanks for watching. Have a great night. Bye. And I hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment down below on what you thought about this story.